Oh, that's when the Mary He's after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her name
So
is, she's
somehow
his generation, but she's got the same name
by
as
here from the next
our,
one,
my
so-
grandmother.
The way my family explains it, before the turn of the century, they said that if you didn't want to marry your cousin, you had to leave the county.
Yeah.
That's-
When one of my boys was in Villanova and Father Robert McGrath was there, and Dowd girls and all the ones from here used to come up to Villanova, would come up to Villanova to dances and everything. So they asked Father Robert one day if they were related. He says, "You're far enough, it's safe."
Well, this is the Justin Pettit Ranch House. It was built in 1896 for my great-grandparents, Justin and Francis Pettit. They had a smaller home, what they call the original ranch house, before they built this out at the ranch. It was a one-bedroom house. They had 6 children in that, and then when the 7th one was on the way, they decided to build something a little bigger.
Yeah.
So they built this one, which has 7 bedrooms in it. The house has been in our family for 5 generations. In 1986, we sold the ranch out of the family, and the strawberry growing firm that bought the land wanted to burn the house down. So we finagled it and got it away from them. Unfortunately, Heritage Square was several years away from construction, so the city leased me a lot at 6th and B Street that we stored the house at for 4 years on blocks without a roof. We had to take the roof off to move it. So we stored it for 4 years and then moved it here about a year and a half ago. Restored it.
Vision on your part for the safety.
Oh, yeah.
You got those black over there?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what this cost?
See if we can get any molding did it.
I know that was tomorrow. Around that.
Oh, my God.
Now,
Look at this beautiful piece.
That's original.
yeah. That's similar to the one that was in the hall over there,
Yeah.
but had places for umbrellas.
Terrific.
The last family member that lived in the house is my great uncle Edward, and he passed away, in fact, in this room in 1964 in his sleep. The family didn't use the house. I mean, they used the house for a few years, and then it was just too large for the family. They started closing rooms up, and eventually the family only had the 2nd floor, and they rented out the 1st floor to different people. By 1964, Ed just lived in this room. He couldn't make it up these stairs anymore, and the 1st floor was rented out to someone else. He took his meals from his sister's house, which was just a few feet away. There were like 5 houses on the ranch. From 1964 on, the house was rented to farm labor, and it wasn't too bad in the early years, but later on, each room practically became an apartment with migrant farm workers, and there were over 30 people. And the house got really, really bad. This staircase is not original, it's a replica of the original. The original was taken out in 1967 by my aunt and uncle. They put it in their ranch-style home as wainscoting in their billiards room. And we replicated it from photographs and drawings. The only original part is this one baluster, which I swiped from a garage to copy the other ones. And it's all woodwork on here is Honduran mahogany. As this room is, and as the front part is all Honduran mahogany. Beautiful. This is a photograph of Justin Francis in the late 20s.
I remember him.
The floor is not original. Originally, this room had just a regular oak floor, as well as 4 other rooms, but a local flooring contractor donated this when he heard I couldn't afford a building. So he got fancy with it.
Look at the marble on the inside.
Gorgeous.
This is Anaclita. It used to be, actually we used to have one Cresta here, but when we had the house.
This is original.
No, we lost it actually, the original. This is a modern day stuff. In fact, they got this in Marie calendars. You can see it all over the place. But it's made to look like tooled leather or pressed tin. It was the effect that they wanted.
Yes, right.
It's very inexpensive actually. And you can paint it. It comes white painted if you want to.
Geez, great.
These doors are not original. They're replicas of the originals. We found the originals out in what was left of the garage. They were rotting away, and we had to replicate them. Most of the woodwork in the house is original, but in the later years when there were transients living in the house, they actually started tearing the moldings off and using them for firewood. So there wasn't, I think these two casing legs were all that was left. Everything here was remilled.
Is that why you had it on your leased lot, or was that when it was out on?
No, this was in '84. My family, the family were out and they tried to board the house up. So for 2 years, people were coming in there stealing doorknobs, anything they could get their hands on.
And where was the location?
Out on Willie Road between Rice and Roselle, set way back behind some trees. So we can go into the parlor.
Isn't it? Of course, having it decorated for Christmas.
Oh, it's my
Yeah.
cousin hers.
Beautiful.
This was the parlor. This is probably the most important thing.
No, I looked at it, it was quite bad.
Here, it's a very important event. Christmas time, there's trees like in your house, to the ceiling, you know, kids will come. This room again is all Honduran mahogany. There's a mantle that will be going back on this wall. My aunt took that out also in 1967, and I still have yet to replicate it, but I'm getting some drawings and some photographs of it to copy it. The curved windows are all new except for two. Most of them had been shot out by farm labor using guns. And we found a company down in LA that custom
Are these family portraits? Are these family portraits?
Yeah, that's actually, that's my mother.
Oh.
And,
Both, both.
yeah, both of them are my mother.
Look at this annual picture.
Look at the frames. The frames were so
Elaborate, yeah.
The plaster medallion in this room and many of the first floor rooms is new. Originally the rooms had them, but my great aunt Marie, who inherited the house in '38, decided to modernize the house. So she had them all chipped off. She had stained glass taken out of the house painted white. She didn't like the house. She thought it was very old-fashioned. So we had to put them back.
You know, in those days it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can understand where you're
No,
going.
yeah.
Look at the old wall switch, for God's sake. I haven't seen one of those.
They're brand new. They had to be UL listed, so we had to buy brand new ones.
Yeah, but that's the way
Did
they
they
were.
use that
Were those
kind of-
press buttons?
Right. Yeah.
Where did you ever find them?
This company in Michigan still makes it.
I'll be darned.
There's pocket doors that split. It's not nearly as ornate as what was in Perkins' house, but on this side it's facing Honduran mahogany, and this side it's facing porcelain white oak, which is what the woodwork is in this one.
Are these the original?
Yes.
Did you have to put new, like, hardware for the tracks
No,
and stuff? It was all
No, it was
workable?
there. We had to rework it a little bit. And there are a lot of rats in the house, and it's hard. You can tell the doors were chewed up. All this molding had to be replaced because the rats were everywhere in it. This was the back parlor, or the family room. This was the room the family really used. The family rarely even used the front door, actually. They always came in through this side entrance. There's 7 ground floor entrances on the first floor.
The doorknob.
Yeah, that's a original.
And you never bought a locker in those days,
Yeah.
so you didn't have to worry. Now, is part of this rented out? Is that?
Yeah, it's all leased out, except for the basement, which works so well now. Yeah.
Well, your tenants must really
I have
respect.
the best tenants. I mean, all I gave them was the woodwork and the carpet, and they went all out.
Oh.
And they went all for
that's
Christmas too. They really did
great.
great. This mantle is not original. Here again, it's a replica of the original. The original was taken out in 1981 by one of my cousins. Everyone, the family was even picking on this house over the years, putting things in their own homes. So from photographs and drawings, we replicated it. And the night of the grand opening of the house that we had everyone come back, my cousins were here and they go, you know, we forgot, this wasn't the only part. There's a whole overmantle that goes to this. And so we still have another component to make to match.
Beautiful.
The bookcases were added, I believe, around 1910 or 1912. Originally, there was a doorway that went here into the kitchen. And the bay window's original.
Unless there were window boxes and all, a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
What was this, Gary? This
It
room
was a back parlor, the family room.
That's like the one across us that I said we called the den, yeah.
Is that a mop or a vacuum cleaner or
Back-
something?
1911.
Oh, it's just, you see the vacuum cleaner, Denise? Oh, gosh. Yeah. No, I was gonna say, it wasn't like no problem.
This room was the dining room. It's not an original room. Originally, this was 3 smaller rooms, a small dining room with a pantry that used to go in the kitchen. And they remodeled about 1914 in more of a craftsman style area, very simple lines. The woodwork doesn't match the rest of the house. In fact, throughout the house, they have the headlocks with the windows and doors, but here they use the hooded casing, which is more from the teens and the 20s. There was a craftsman style buffet against that wall. It was beyond salvage, and so we took it off and just paneled the wall to match the rest of the room. One mistake that I made, though, when I ordered these French doors to replicate the original, I ordered them in Royal grain first, and the room was oak, so I found a person that does graining, and these doors, what you're seeing is not actually wood, it's a painted-on finish to match oak. This is oak, and this is
Hey,
painted.
you know that in Washington, Mount Vernon,
Wow.
yeah, the parlor and the entrance hall is
Right.
the same
Yeah.
cotton picking thing. I've never heard of that part.
It was real common back then,
Yeah.
except by hardwood.
So many candidates, huh?
Yeah.
Look, Amanda, there's a picture of the man that lived here, and his, was
Isn't
in his
it
ranch, and his harvesting equipment.
Yep.
He's getting his crops ready.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse Pettit Donlin. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
There's another picture of the wedding, of the Laubacher wedding with Justin Pettit there.
Yeah, here's Dadie.
Davy Donlin.
When the wainscoting, some original, some is
What do you call it?
wainscoting.
Wainscoting?
Yeah. This was the kitchen. The only thing that's really left of the kitchen is that cabinet right over in that corner. There was another cabinet that was in this corner, but the rats had just eaten up every drawer, every corner, every door on it, so we took it out. There used to be a large copper water heater that was in this corner. There was a large cast iron stove that fed into a chimney. We put a dummy chimney outside on the roof. There's, a lot of the contractors thought I was crazy for putting all these things that they didn't understand. You know, I wanted to make the house look like it did.
Sure.
There used to be a sink along that wall and that window over there, and there's a large oak table that used to be in the middle here. The Pettits had 7 children, and they had two gals that helped out in the housework. This door led to a porch, and then from this porch there was a series of elevated catwalks that went to smaller outstructures. They had the tack room, the milk room, and the hen house. And the reason for the elevated walks was so that the women wouldn't get their skirts muddy. They'd be able to walk above all the dirt and
Can't have
everything.
that.
Is this an original window?
No, it is not.
Edge blade.
Yeah, we made that just to look practical onto the house. This
That
room,
was the pantry.
no, actually this started out as the maid's day room. There was a pantry here originally, and then they remodeled. The maid would do her errands in here, or sewing, or whatever. And later on, when most of the kids left for college, this became my great-grandfather's office, and he ran his ranching operations out of here. And I have to tell you one little story about this room. When we moved the house, we took out all the woodwork before it was moved, and all the lath and plaster to make the house lighter. The house, we took out about 14 tons of weight.
Wow.
Each piece of molding in the house was taken out, denailed, and then labeled where it went back. And a lot of people thought it was crazy that, well, you can just put it back wherever, it really doesn't matter. But on the day of the grand opening, I had an elderly relative of mine come in here, and he told me the story about my great-grandfather's gun cabinet that was in this corner. He was playing around with it one day, and he shot this shotgun that had pellets in it, and it peppered this casing board. He came up here and said, yeah, look, they're still here. And just that one story, I think, really made it worth replacing.
Where it went, yeah.
Where, well, that's
Yeah.
good. The bullet holes on the
Oh,
right.
on the picture, or the window casement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shot glass.
I'm gonna go home and redecorate. I need to go to that wallpaper store tomorrow.
Yeah. And you forget how fine those things were.
Yeah.
See, my uncle, Jim Markle in San Antonio, his house was like.
Yeah, I imagine originally it was.
Justin Pettit,
Yeah.
his ranch.
See, that's
Dee Dee
Mary,
Donovan's over
that's
there.
Mary,
the wedding. This is
Mary's
That's,
grandmother.
there's
Lady
Dee Dee.
that's the bride.
The tiny little one.
That's Jesse Pettit.
She's like,
Daddy.
Well,
Daddy.
But I mean, that's what she went home with.
She was one of the children that lived in this house?
yeah, she's the youngest daughter.
Okay, and
Also
the
the last
7
one to get
children?
married.
Okay.
Was that Jesse's wedding?
Yes. It was in the east garden of the house.
Yeah, she was married to my uncle. Jesse was married to my uncle. Oh, right, that's right.
From this handrail on, this is an addition on the house. Originally there was a small porch here, and then later on they added a bathroom here on the first floor. This is a new addition to accommodate handicap bathrooms and a handicap ramp that comes to this doorway. And there never was a basement in this house. We added the staircase to a new 2,200 square foot basement below. And we just replicated the front staircase on this one, trying to match what was originally here. It's not as ornate though. It has carving and stuff.
2,200?
You never have a basement that's too big, you know?
Yeah.
Good for those Christmas ornaments.
This staircase was the main staircase. Originally, it had a door here in the front. We took it out for exiting. But in 1938, my great uncle Edward wanted a shower up on the second floor, so he floored it over. He sealed it up at the top. So he used to open this door, and it was a staircase that just went nowhere. It was just a closet for many years. And half a century later, we reopened it to utilize it as a second exit from the second floor.
Oh, that's right, there's stairs from the front, isn't there?
I'm lost. This thing's
I'm lost in
I'm
here, too.
sort of lost now.
Oh, he's
Oh,
going
yeah,
there.
it's the flooring. Yes, we must have come through.
Got it, neat.
You'd be lost.
Jesus, this is perfect. How many rooms are we?
14.
How many go?
No wonder we're lost.
Look, Doug, here's where you can live. Oh, look.
Woo. This room was the nursery, and evidently so it has a nice train collection in there. This was my grandmother and my great aunt Daisy were the two youngest Pettit daughters. This was their room. It was attached here to the master bedroom. In the some of you from Ventura County, right? Then I can tell you this story. This in the 1930s and 40s, the first floor was rented out to various families, and in the mid to late 1940s, there was a family that lived here. It was a mother with her daughter, and her son was coming home from the war, and so he moved in here. The mother owned a small hot dog stand on Oxnard Boulevard, and the son that she had that lived in this room for about 2 years was Bud Smith. And so,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
and one of the things
MBS?
one of the things we get to joke about was that we were probably one of the few people that could claim they were a landlord of Bud Smith. They paid $100 a month for the whole first floor.
How much?
$100 a month for the first floor. in 1930.
Oh, gosh.
Actually, we have another joke that we have a little these cards we put up when we give tours, and we say that he was so inspired by this house he built towers. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
What
Bud Smith slept here.
what was a nursery?
Here's the old daylight.
That nursery was
Look at the
where the
children's
kids
room.
hang out, and that's.
We covered any of those, Doug?
And then what up there?
The old one still called the nursery.
this is the master bedroom. It has a bay window, just like the room does on the other side. It doesn't have a seat in it, but it does open up. Most of the bedrooms have access to their own little porches. This has a little stoop out here. And one of the stories that everyone in the family remembers is that when Justin and Francis built this house, there was plumbing in the house, but Justin felt it was really a waste of water to use the facilities. So he would go out here and what he called irrigate the orchard.
This medallion was probably restored as well.
That's a new one.
Well,
But
thanks
there's only
for giving
two
me.
original ones.
What are those made out of?
There's plaster.
Plaster Paris.
It's really inexpensive.
There used to be some of that little.
Jefferson's Monticello
They're
has
in the basement.
a bunch of those. Yeah.
I wanted to
Oh, are you?
I photographed it.
Uh-oh. Oh, this is what we saw from the other.
That-
Oh, we went through that way from the other way. I see.
I did what?
There's 5 bedrooms on this floor,
A little bit of
just like that.
I marble or whatever it is in the same.
Are any of the playgrounds left or playgrounds left?
I believe there's Kim Raybar. We can go into the guest bedroom first.
They're not missing any
Tell me what that
pictures.
is.
This is the earliest known photograph of this house back in 1901. The house was 5 years old.
Oh, look, Charlie Road, Riverview Feed Stand.
What?
Is that right?
Amanda, come here.
Charlie Road.
Amanda, come here. You see the picture? Amanda.
There it is.
Next to the Oxnard Courier. Yeah.
Doug, take a picture of this picture.
We had to get a copy of that for the Roots book. What the hell street is that on? Here's the plaza, right?
you have to remember that the house was set back about 200 yards from Willie Road, and like a common driveway. Private site. This room has curved windows just like the room down below. So they had to impress. Yes. They also had a curved theme wall here to also impress the guests with the curved woodwork. This room is the only house that had gilded picture rail in it, which we sort of try to replicate here by spray painting gold. This is also one of the most ornate etched transoms. This was also taken out in 1980 by one of my relatives, and when she heard we were going to restore the house, she returned it to me. So
All right,
Oh,
that's a
nice.
real
very
one.
good budget. Beautiful. The other really interesting story about this room is that most of the rooms in the house had small pot-bellied stoves or a fireplace for a source of heat, except for this room. In the corners of most of the rooms, there would be a tile clay pipe that would go into the multi-flute chimneys. And there would still be evidence of them in each room. They'd be plastered over because they had gas later on. Except in this room, there was nothing. We tore into the wall. There was nothing here at all. But what this room did have was a cast iron grill that I thought went to some kind of heating system. But actually, we feel it was put in there just to fool the guests that there was heating. That is a bona fide 1896 cast iron heating grill.
And you can't buy it
It goes
anyway.
nowhere.
No plumbing.
Oh, God.
Are these all original, these things?
Yes, well, I've been scrounging them up. I had
But I
about-
mean, from that
I had
period,
about a
original
dozen.
from that period, whether that.
Right, it took me about 4 years to
I
rust
didn't
them
know
all.
if they were new or.
they're
Beautiful.
You,
These are brand new, the knob on this floor.
You
Down below, I got the
cleaned
original.
the house. You cleaned up the plates?
Yeah, we polished up all the
They're
hardware.
beautiful.
Most of it.
Yeah, he's been working on
And
that.
this has the little porch out that you told us about.
Yeah,
the video of them.
that porch is shared with the guest bedroom. There's two doors that go out to this porch. There's 7 porches in our house.
God, isn't
They
that
put it in your
beautiful?
porch.
Oh,
Little sitting area.
Wow.
And the handrails don't meet code. We had to put in temporary handrails to get our completion on the building. We just took them down. I wasn't going to change the back of the house.
Wow.
They never got used much. Willie Road was always too cold.
Yeah.
To sit out there and windy probably.
Old Jones. Old Jones.
And you own the house now. Did you see the picture in the hall?
You can take your hat off.
No. Long hair. There's a lot of hair.
He does, yeah.
All right, here's where I was born, right there.
That's our pro football player.
Liz is saying something. Say it again, Aunt Liz.
This was Pop's livery stable, and this is where I was born, right here.
Oh.
I was thinking the firehouse was right next, and I think it was at one time.
Was it a hospital or?
No, it was a home.
Somebody's home.
They said that the doctors, they had to wait for the doctor to run across over here to his office to get something before I could be born.
You think Grandma was born there?
What square, what is
No,
this?
she was born in Wainema.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this thing here?
Oh, this is the plaza in the middle of Oxnard.
Still,
you know,
that's
the
what that
park?
is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I thought it might be,
Yeah.
but I didn't know.
This is where Dolly Brigham's old store used to be, Sheila. This
Yeah,
used to be Dolly
Pogies, what is
Brigham's.
that called?
right there.
Pogies?
If you look real close, you can see the doctor running across there to get.
Yeah. Get his schnapps.
Look, there's the figure of blimp that announces your birth, Aunt Liz.
This is the east bedroom. The 2 youngest Pettit boys, Joe and Ed, had this room. And and all the woodwork in here is original. The really interesting thing about this room is that this is the only doorway in the house that has a curved transom, all in a rectangular. And we thought, well, they spent an extra 15 cents or something for this because you could see it from the front hall. But we found that when we took out the lath and plaster, we found there was framing in here for 2 half-circle side lights. So this was some type of oriental type opening. And Herman Olof, who designed the house, also built the Faulkner house out in Santa Paula. And if you notice on the houses have similar floor plans. On the same side of the house, but on the exterior window, there is a curved window just like that. So the Pettits may have been out there. That house had been built 2 years earlier, and said they wanted an interior feature like this, but there may have been a privacy problem or something, so they eliminated them. And I was told for a long construction I couldn't put it back in, but originally there was these curved transoms. that were-
You went to that one, didn't you, Mark? At Allison's house?
Yeah.
Herman Olof also designed Rancho Camarillo. He designed most of the larger ranch homes in the
What
county.
was the name?
Herman Olof, he was from Santa Paula.
Oh,
He
Emma.
was a German.
Oh.
German.
Oh, that, is that less than,
He designed a lot of schools and churches also with one of the architects in the group.
From like
Anloff. A-N-L-A-U-F.
That's what the house is.
This is the earliest known photograph of the house. It was 5 years old in 1901. That came from a newspaper. It took a lot of processing to get it off the newspaper. There's a lot of print coming through.
Oh, that's neat.
But they really did a good job.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And it shows the original multicolored paint scheme that was originally on the house. I'll take you into what we call the angle room. This is the room for the oldest son, Alfred, who was about 14 or 15. I have to let you know that this room recently won 2 awards for its downtown Christmas decorating theme or something. So it's really done up for Christmas.
All right.
Oh, God, look at that.
Step, watch your step.
Look at this little touch-like thing they had for washroom.
Neat oven in there, I think.
Oh.
That's a replica of the original.
But it was like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the original was a lot.
Here.
Look at this.
Look, man.
It is used as an office.
Oh yeah, believe it or not, she does
Yeah.
work here. I mean,
Your
Um,
Santa.
Great. Look at that old buggy. God almighty.
Look at the doll table and
Oh,
chairs.
yeah. Jeez. That is terrific.
Oh, I love this picture.
this room was called the angle room, and originally we think this was sort of like an attic, and they finished off the room later on when they needed the space. It's the largest room in the house in square footage, but because of the clip ceilings, you don't really notice it. This window here is a copy of the original. Originally, though, this wall used to only be about 18 inches away from it, and the house faced south at that time. Now it faces northwest, so we pulled this wall back to let more light in, because it's
Oh,
considered
yeah,
darker
it's
than it used to be.
nice.
Beautiful.
And
What did you do? So
They
the wall-
opened
this
it
wall
up.
used to be up here. That used to be up
Oh,
solid all
oh,
the way up. We opened it up more. Alfred only lived here a few years before he went to college, and then he later we were married into the Camarillo family. He married Rosa Camarillo, and we sort of got a reverse dowry. Adolfo Camarillo gave Alfred some land for marrying his daughter, so he lived out near the Camarillo house.
All right.
It's an original little bay window there,
Now, where's the Camarillo house?
right at the foot of the grade, out by 101.
Oh, out
You
the
can see
Put
it.
it back on.
Big trees
Yeah.
around.
It's
It
now,
wasn't one of the home tour
Oh, I
houses.
now
think
it's,
I've seen it.
It's a state thing now, isn't it?
No,
Or is
it's
it?
a
It's private?
Catholic.
The family still owns it, I think.
Oh,
church.
okay.
They started something out there for one of those home tour things I went through.
I never collected dowry.
See, when you look through that,
A hole in the wall and then patched it, so we put a door into it.
Oh, to
Didn't
get
have
to the
access
pipes.
to it.
Boy, everyone does
God, that
decorate
is
for
terrific.
they
Christmas.
surely
Yeah.
decorate it.
gorgeous.
I'd like to have
I could
Some of the
there'd be a
houses-
lot more
Yeah.
like the ones in
Staircase
Santa
are
Paul
real
Street, yeah,
skinny
where
and
they're
it's real
claustrophobic,
little.
they're so open.
I think the high ceilings make
This is where we took the most liberty. Originally, there was what we call the west bedroom on this side, and it was a large room, same as the east bedroom on that side. I decided to utilize the attic space, so I had to create this corridor here, which really shrunk this room up. And then these tenants wanted to have a reception area, so we tried to put in a Victorian, trim it out in the same way, but obviously it wasn't a receptionist window originally here. This room was for the oldest daughter, Marie Pettit. And she was about 17 when the house was built, so she got to pick this room. The interesting thing about this room is, as Marie went on to college and each of the younger Pettit daughters got to move around in the rooms, they always wanted to go up in the big sister's room. So this was one of the most sought after rooms in the house. An interesting thing though, when we took the lath and plaster down in this room, we counted 17 layers of wallpaper. This room was continually decorated for each of the daughters.
Who did Marie marry?
Jack Watlington.
Oh, Jack. Yes.
17, that's great.
And was playing with me, what's that? Good, you know where another story.
Yeah, that's a water
We also have quite a bit of liberty here. This was originally the maid's bedroom, and the staircase never existed. There was a wall that went up, and the ceiling was at 10 foot, just like the rest of the rooms on this floor. There was a closet over on that side of the room, and they came in through this door here through the hall. There is about 560 square feet up in the attic area, and I wanted to utilize it just because of the cost effectiveness of trying to get these things restored and make it work. Unfortunately, the Oxnard Building Department wouldn't let me utilize that space unless I had 2 exits, because they were going to declare it a 3rd floor. My architect said that if I took the ceiling off of this room and called that a mezzanine, that then they would okay with 1 staircase. So that's why the ceiling is
All
there.
right.
So you can go up there into the original attic that we finished off.
How many stairways are there in the house? I confused.
There's 58 steps from the top to the bottom.
I turned around and come up again.
Look at this inlay here,
Whoa.
leaded stuff.
Like home, I guess.
Yeah, just like that.
About a year and a half of the actual restoration. I've been involved for 7 years.
With the detail and things.
Yeah.
There's another little hole in the wall.
You get tired of it at all, or
No, I
it's a hobby?
new challenges.
God, this is terrific.
No, I'm a finished carpenter by trade.
He's sitting.
But I'm working with a
he's
contractor on
finishing-
the pergola.
He's sitting to refinish the pergola.
This space up here is all original except it originally was floored out over here also. Each of the projecting gable ends has a different style of window in it. They're all replicas of the original. That one has a sunburst design, has a triangle, and this has an unusual design that someone said it's supposed to have some kind of agricultural when you do with seasons or something.
So it was original? I mean,
It's a replica. of the original. Yeah, they're exact copies. And then they were never really cased out. This is just, framed in shingles. The two little dormers on the back there, the one on the right is original, the one on the left is new, and those windows open to allow ventilation in here. The house originally did have a flat top here. It did not have skylights in it, though. What it did have was a hatched opening that was about where the ceiling fan was at. And in the summer months, they would open up this door, and the warm air would rise through the house, and cool air would come in the transoms and cool the house down. And I never really thought it worked that well until one summer when we were up on the roof, and I took that hatch off, and it was like a blast furnace, the hot air just coming out. So we sort of kept the same Victorian technology by putting these openable skylights that open up, and it equals about the same square footage of window space as the original hatch. Plus, that's a lot of light in.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
Good way to utilize some space to make, you
You know, one time they had them packed in here with the migrant workers.
Oh, yeah, it was really, I'll bet.
Can you imagine that? God, what they did to it?
The family wanted to tear the house down. That was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these old houses we got were.
Now, what'd you do? Did you have to split it in half and then take the roof off? Because, yeah.
You imagine moving this house.
What'd you just say?
No,
Is that what
Denise
you
just
said?
said that. Oh, I didn't hear her, and I was just saying.
Were you saying the same thing?
I will say to you,
At the same time from
could
the
you
opposite
imagine
sides?
moving it, is what I said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they remember all the family.
I'm
Did you-
gonna be anxious to see the Perkins place.
It'll be a show place if the city
When,
spends the money on it.
how long do they end?
It'll take about 4 months, and we hope to start in January.
That all?
Oh, great.
Do they have the money for it now?
They had 109,000 set aside. I think it's a little down to about 80,000. So it's spending her.
A lot of the work was done though, I mean, so did they, the previous guy had it, got a lot of work done, and then boom,
Yeah, well,
says,
he
pull the plug.
spent, like $900,000, I think, in his pocket. And so he left it in that condition. But there were plaster medallions. The city doesn't know about that. And we've got photographs, and there's, the mantles were stolen. Some of those mantles. They were in there, but some were stolen. We're trying to get the city to pay to have them recarved and replicated, because that really is the finest home in Heritage Square, and it deserves to be restored.
So have you done a lot of research on that house as well?
Yeah. The other hunters don't know what was in there. They just
Yeah.
want to, okay,
We'll do this or
finish it,
that.
and that's it. But there's a lot more to the house than that.
Oh,
Yeah, look at the contract. Will you go in and